Here's a number for you. $7 million.
What?
$7 million. That's the current going rate for a 30-second spot during the Super Bowl. That's roughly $233,000 per second. For most of television history, the commercial break was the enemy. It was the time you went to the bathroom. It was the time you went up to grab a beer or a soda or a snack. It was the tax you paid for watching the show. But on one Sunday in February, the tax becomes a product. Today on The Art of Commerce, we're going to talk about how a football became the Met Gala for brands, the holy grail for all advertising creative, and the water cooler talk that you're going to talk about for the whole week about what the best ad was. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. It's Super Bowl week. We're going to talk about the ads. Are you ready, Anish?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, this is The Art of Commerce. I'm Jinx Joglekar.
I'm Anish Raul.
And let's get into it.
The Art of Commerce is a podcast featuring conversations on creativity and conversions. Hosted by Anish, a data-obsessed creative director, and Jinx, a growth-obsessed CMO. Listen on for actionable insights for the modern marketer.
The love guy t-shirt.
Oh, thank you very
The
much.
Eagles.
My birds, they won the Super Bowl last year. They are not in it this year. They're not in it this year. They're not in it this year. We'll see about Denver.
Again, I don't think so, right?
They're in. They're in. So he doesn't even know. I mean, he's not a good fan. But
I'm a bandwagon
he's
fan.
a bandwagon. But no, they're good. They're good. As of this taping, they're number one. They're in the race.
I knew my team would win.
They're
Let's
in
go.
the race. We'll see. It's all a surprise. And we'll put the notes in the end if we're wrong. But hopefully Denver's in the Super Bowl, and so we're talking about some good stuff. Okay, so we're gonna do a couple stories. This is a fun episode, right? So we're gonna do a couple of stories to talk about the Super Bowl and relate some marketing insights to it. You ready?
Let's
Are
go.
you ready for some football, Anish?
I'm ready for some stories.
All
Football,
right,
we'll find out.
my man. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, it's January 15th, 1967. Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Super Bowl number one.
Whoa, you're going all the way back.
Although nobody called it the Super Bowl yet, so let's be clear. It was the AFL NFL World Championship game, which isn't that catchy.
Needs some work.
No, I was going to say, it's not that good. And it's funny because NBC and CBS are both broadcasting. Imagine that. Like, that would never happen today. But at the time, they were. And the ads, they are forgettable, to say the least. Muriel Cigars, 4 trucks, which we see today, but probably not that interesting. The cost for a 30-second spot was about $42,000, which adjusted for inflation is about $300,000 today. So, quite frankly, a bargain.
Compared to $7 million?
Compared to $7 million, certainly. But so it was basically local cable pricing, local TV CPMs on a national stage. So very interesting, you know. But the no pageantry, you know, just inventory. Networks had dead air and they needed to fill it, so they filled it with commercials. But if you watch that, if you're able to watch it on YouTube or whatever, the commercials kind of feel like interruptions. They're dry, they're functional product demo. Here's a car, it's got an engine, go buy it, right? It drives, right? Like, not that interesting.
It's funny because Super Bowl ads hadn't become a moment yet. Right?
Yeah, no.
So it was just functional advertising. We've got some airtime. Let's try and get some sales. And let's see. There was no, let's try to getting more users when they watch this. Let's try to drive them to the website. None of that.
Certainly no websites. But the idea of retention and all this stuff, you know, it was, you know, some might say the golden age of marketing where there were no metrics. And so there was literally no scrutiny. And there,
That's true.
So, you know, sometimes you had some really great ads, but a lot of times you had just filler. And they tried to do it. So they didn't try to entertain you. They just tried to be loud enough to be heard from the kitchen, basically, right?
It's so funny when you say it was the best time to be in marketing because there were no KPIs.
Right.
It makes so sense. Sometimes I feel like, man, are we really trying to overcomplicate our lives by just looking at what's the click-through rate? Okay, fine. What was the user retention rate? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
What was the conversion rate from this? But on the other hand, it's just the more granular metrics you have, the more incremental betterments you can make to your craft.
Yeah, right. And the argument on the other side is sometimes you get lost, right? Like there's like they sold a lot of product prior to all this targeting
for cheap,
right? And then so sometimes broad awareness and really good creative, which these didn't have great creatives that we talked about, but there were certain creatives that did cut through the Coke ad, this that, like really great awareness with a really great creative was enough. And so it's funny, like, you know, we talk about the cost of the spot and it's really high. If you like listen to Gary Vee or any of that, he'll actually say they're undervalued. Like, this is actually the best place because not only are you going to get like 130 million people that are actually watching, you're going to get all the earned media.
That's true. If you do it well.
If you do it well. But again, the reason though people don't want to spend the 7 minutes, it's a lot of risk, right? And if you aren't sure that you're going to do it well, you know, and what does well mean? I mean, the most talked about ad for a while was a QR code from Coinbase.
Coinbase is my favorite Super Bowl ad.
Which is like objectively absurd, but functionally great. And so, you know, how do you know you're going to hit? How do you know you're going to spend that 7 million? It's tough. It's a lot. We shy away. We back away. But, you know, funny, like Gary Vee was like, actually, might actually be your best dollar spent. But the key is if you have a creative that resonates, and what resonates is completely subjective, so it's a risk, right?
Well, how the times have changed.
The times have changed. And I will say, before we moved on to the next story, this was Super Bowl one. They didn't call it Super Bowl, or they started calling it Super Bowl really because of, I think it was Hunt from the guy that owns the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he was the guy that did it. We'll fact check and we'll put a banner if I'm wrong. But I think he was the guy. I think he was one of the guys that called it the Super Bowl, I think. But the only reason I bring that up, because that might be incorrect, is, you know, my Eagles won the national championship game prior to being called the Super Bowl a couple times, even beating Vince Lombardi, who the now Super Bowl trophy is named after, Vince Lombardi's Packers, in those games. But we never got the credit of a Super Bowl champion until 2017 because we never actually won a Super Bowl because we won before. So, you know, it's a fun, again, devastating fact as a Philly fan, which, you know, we have a little bit of a goodness going, but many years of strife prior. So
I can know this was good personal for you. Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? That's what I said. You're going to talk about the Super Bowl. We're going to have some fun with it. Okay. All right. Okay.
What's the next story?
So that's that. So the next story, let's fast forward to October 1979. This didn't actually premiere at the Super Bowl, but it ran during the 1980 game and cemented the strategy. So started before, but then they ran it again during the Super Bowl. And this is where people really remember it. Coca-Cola. Mean Joe Greene. One of my faves.
Mr. Greene? Mr. Greene?
Yeah.
You need any help? Want my Coke?
You know the scene. Terrifying Pittsburgh Steeler, Mean Joe Greene, limping down the tunnel, injured. A kid offers him a Coke. Joe drinks it in one gulp, like insane. Smiles, tosses the kid his jersey and said, "Hey kid, catch." Oh my gosh. Like every person wants to be that kid watching that ad. That's amazing. This is the moment when the industry pivoted from features to feelings.
Important.
We've talked about this a lot, right? You know, but let's not talk about the features. Let's talk about the feelings. Let's talk about the vibes, right? And before this, a soda ad would tell you how refreshing it was, maybe what the sugar content was, or the lack of sugar, or the lack of caffeine, or whatever. This ad told you that the soda could be a bridge between the scary gladiator, the innocent child, the enabler to your wildest fandom fantasy of getting your favorite player's jersey.
Jinx, do you remember watching this on TV at the risk of aging yourself?
Yeah, well, no comment. No, I do in the subsequent iterations of it. Let me just put it that way. But I've watched the ad multiple times, and even now, even today, it gives me goosebumps just watching it, just to be like, wow, could that happen to me? What would I do? It's amazing, and that's kind of what's interesting is, but it's before the birth of like viral video. That's like
it was viral before viral was a thing.
It was 1980, right?
Yeah,
MTV didn't even start yet, I don't think yet. So like video, you hadn't killed the radio star yet, right? So it's like totally different, but people talked about it the next day. It was water cooler chatter. It was redone and repeated so many times that even people born after 1980 know the commercial we're talking about. So you move from hey, it's an ad, it's functional, to a do you see a moment? It's almost like social currency in the water cooler, right?
Damn. So the instincts that we spoke about before going to the story, if you do a Super Bowl commercial well, it will like the benefits will outweigh what you spend behind it.
Yeah.
And this was arguably the first example of that ever happening.
Yeah.
And since then, all the copywriters in their creative brief, all the marketers want to recreate something like that.
And it's great integration, right? You have a celebrity in there. This is pre-influencers. This is old school product, placement based on celebrity.
Right.
But like, man, the way they integrated it, it wasn't like he's playing football and then drinking a soda and it feels weird. Like, who would drink a soda it wasn't like a fan on the stand drinking a soda watching. It was, I'm interacting with my idol and I'm getting something from it. And the kid becomes the conduit to us. It feels real. And like that, I would love to have been a fly on the wall from the brief to creative, because it's one of those moments where, again, there wasn't a lot of targeting there. It was just one broad strokes. Now, it was a cheaper ad for sure from a cost per media perspective. But
I'm sure even the production must have been cutting edge for that first time.
Yeah, look, it was just them in a tunnel, right?
Oh, okay. I need to watch a commercial.
So it wasn't, Anish, got to do your homework, buddy. It's just them so it wasn't like, there was like, if you think of the Pepsi ads, like more recently, J-Lo's dancing and things are blowing up. Like, it wasn't like that. It was very lo-fi. It's like, guy comes out down the tunnel, kid hands him a Coke, really nice catch, kid. But that, the emotion that it inspired was the resonance.
In a lot of ways, it's also based on a core consumer truth, which is universal, is as a child, you want to meet your hero.
Yeah.
And so just this commercial is telling you the story of a child just like you meeting their hero.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of Coke.
Right. And again, it personalizes and makes a conduit to the audience.
Correct.
Which the best commercials can make a conduit and a recognizable figure that you can put yourself. And that kid was that. No matter what age, though, which is crazy, right? Like, you had adults like, oh my God, I would, and that's what fandom does, right? Like, you're an adult and you see your favorite player and you act like a little kid again. Like, right. You know what I mean? It's like, you throw me the ball, right? Like, okay. Recently see people getting fights over the jersey in the stands. Like, you're the CEO of a company, like fighting like a kid. Like, dude, chill, man. Like, but that's what sports does to us. And it was really, they tapped that insight, So I think, again, great brief, great insight, and great execution on that one.
It sounds like you were the first ones to do it right.
Yeah, they were the first ones. But
set the playbook for what would be aspirational in the years to come.
Exactly. And I was going to say the first one, but certainly not the last, because the next story is one of my favorites. We've brought it up before. I use that as an example a lot. And it's the third quarter of the Super Bowl 18, right? Something like that. I think it was, again, 1984?
84,
right?
Yeah,
1984?
Yeah.
Third quarter of this game, Apple is launching the Macintosh. They hire Ridley Scott, a guy that just directed Blade Runner. He'd go on to direct many, many, many great movies. And he directed this commercial, if you knew it or not. The board of directors at Apple hated it.
Whoa.
They were like, ugh, what is this? They thought it was the worst commercial they'd ever seen. Like, what is this dystopian thing? Like,
I can see why.
It's not really interacting. I think you guys know the commercial we're talking about. So they actually tried to sell it off the airtime to get out of the contract because they could sell. You can resell it, and they probably would have taken a loss. But Steve Jobs loved it, and we talk about him all the time. Love him or hate him, whatever. The vision the guy had is unbelievable. He loved it, and they ran it. And so this is what it was: a dystopian future. Gray drones marching. A woman in colorful athletic gear runs in and takes a hammer, swings it, and smashes the screen. And then on the screen, the text comes up, why 1984 won't be like 1984. And then they showed the Mac. They didn't, the Mac symbol, I should even say. They didn't show the computer. They didn't talk about the RAM. They didn't talk about all the other features.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Also, shout out for that great Orwell reference.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and they were selling an ethos. They were selling an ideology. They were selling this rebellious spirit. You could be like 1984. You take the red pill. You're 1984. Take the blue pill or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you're smashing the screen. You're doing something no other technology company will do. You are thinking completely differently.
Yeah, the subtext there is. Yeah. If you're going to want this future, choose Apple, which is, it's not stated explicitly, right. It's implied.
Yeah, no, and it, for years to come, that's the ethos of the Apple customer. Even today, are you a Mac or PC, right? Like, you know, and
this was such a great challenger brand thing to do.
Right, because they were. That's exactly what they were. And what it actually did, if you think about it, because we talked about the Coke thing. Coke thing brought emotion and like storytelling to the thing. This brought film quality stuff. So back to your point,
Ridley Scott making a TV commercial.
And this one probably wasn't cheap to produce, right?
Correct.
You have many people, extras, throwing a sledgehammer, smashing the screen, special effects. This was not kid handing Coke, handing a Coke bottle. So after 1984, you couldn't just show the product. That's when you really have to make the statement. You have to become an auteur, a director. You're doing really cool stuff, and you have to cut through, And so this is really when the Super Bowl became a place for brands to scream, "I've arrived, and here's my amazing creative to get it done."
And imagine making that call in 1984 for Steve Jobs to believe in an idea and understand the impact that this will have. Not just, hey, this is a great creative, but this is a great creative on arguably the most watched night on TV. And that's what we leave with. That takes a lot of balls.
It does, especially when your board is like, don't do it. Which just further proves like boards probably shouldn't approve or reject ads because and boards are full of very smart people, but in aggregate, you really know what to do there. But that's a different episode. But so, but that to be said, yeah, no, I mean, it took a lot of conviction, right? Like Steve Jobs was like, I know what is good, and I know what will cut through, and this is good, and this will cut through, and this will mean something.
And it did. You're talking about it 31 years later.
Yeah, you talk about it all the time. Like, make people feel...
41 years later.
41, yeah. He doesn't even know what year it is. You talk about it all the time, which is you make people feel something.
Feel something.
And that's what that ad did. Like, you feel something. You understand, like, the constraint. Like, you understand this dystopian future of homogeny that you're living in. And all of a sudden, somebody blasts through with color. And like at the time, it's true. Like the old computers were like basically like DOS prompts. No user interface, no nothing. And so for them to come out, and we have a user interface, and you're gonna click an image and all this stuff that's like normal now. Like you were really breaking out of this conformity mold.
It was so on brand before on brand was even a thing.
Yeah,
this was just like this podcast. They were building it in real time.
Yeah,
right. It's awesome.
That's great. Yeah. So a lot. One of my favorites. I'm glad we got to put that in. So the last one, okay,
big one.
Around Super Bowl ads. So we've taken us from the inception, right, to the betterment with emotion, to the idea of
definitive, peak pop culture moment,
right?
Yeah.
So then where do we go from there? Well, let's talk about it. January 2000, Super Bowl 34, the height of the .com bubble. People were throwing money into things they didn't even know why. They had no idea.
It sounds familiar,
Jinx.
Jinx.
Familiar. History does tend to repeat itself. This was the money to burn era, as I was saying. You had companies that had never made $1 of profit, companies that had barely a business model, spending millions of dollars on the Super Bowl just so they can juice their IPO price, right? Hey, people know about us. They might buy our product if we had one, but they will definitely buy our stock because they think there's going to do something.
You also build a brand by association. So if this brand is on Times Square or if this brand is on Super Bowl, it's something.
That's right. That's right. And so what are we talking about? Pets.com, baby. Pets.com. The sock puppet. Which, by the way, look on YouTube, you can find it.
I'm a professional happy puppet thing, and it's my job to make animals happy. Pets.com, because pets can't drive.
I had to look up the video. It looks so kooky. What were they doing on Super Bowl on TV?
I have no idea. Pets.com spent millions on the Super Bowl ad, media, and production. They were bankrupt 9 months later.
No surprises.
No surprises. But it was the ultimate flex and the ultimate non-flex in the same time. It was the value of the ad wasn't to sell the dog food. It was really just a signal to investors. Look how much cash we have to set on fire. If we're making cash now, imagine when you give us more cash.
You look at what we'll do, gang.
Right? It was so funny. Like, and then you saw others in that Super Bowl. It was a graveyard of logos. Electronic Data Systems, Epidemic.com, which sounds interesting. But it set the modern standard. The Super Bowl is where you go to prove you're a big boy company. even if your balance sheet said otherwise. And so that's like, we brought it up. The Coinbase example is a great one, which, again, I don't know. The timing, I can't remember if they had IPO'd or not, but again, it was to show that they belong on that stage.
Right.
And they did a great job because we're still talking about it. They cut through with the something the board would have said is the dumbest thing I've said. I probably would have said that's the dumbest thing I've seen. But you know what? You have the conviction to do it.
Man.
It worked.
Their website crashed.
It worked. It worked. People, and the thing is, it's like, QR codes are hard to get, but like get people to take a picture. But when it's sitting there for 30 seconds, people are like, I don't know. Let me do it. Like,
it stands out too, because even before the commercial break, it's just noise coming out of your TV.
Yeah.
Right? Because the game's playing.
Yeah.
During the commercial break, every ad is trying to get your attention. The Coinbase ad, it was on the opposite end of the spectrum. Right. No flashy visuals, no loud sounds, just something that made you pause and be like, am I looking at it?
And it was kind of fun because the way it bounced around the screen was a little nostalgic.
Like the DVD icon,
DVD, or even the old video games or something. Like, it had something like that. You don't know how to explain, but you were just like, I'm going to engage with this.
One of my favorite advertising quirks is when the world zigs, zag.
Yeah.
The Coinbase ad was just that. When everyone's shouting, we're going to shut up and show up.
Yeah. That was great. I love it. Great analysis. And so,
Jinx, I have a CMO question for you.
Oh, sure. Please.
When should you use the Super Bowl inventory? Because over the course of this episode was not just stories about great advertising. It was the evolution of the advertising medium. Like how the Super Bowl sport went from just being inventory to one of the most coveted advertising sports. When should a brand think about investing in one?
Well, first of all, you got to get buy-in. Like, that's the reality of it. Like, we don't live in the era of what we were talking about before with no scrutiny on marketing. This is a era of marketing scrutiny. So you need buy-in. Like, your CEO has to be bought in. Maybe your board, if that's the way it goes. Your CFO has to be bought in. Like, you are going to spend a bunch of money on this ad.
At least $7 million.
At least $7 million. Well, and that's for the national. And I'll get into a couple of options in a second. But to lower the cost. But if you're going to go full bore national ad, you got to have the buy-in. And then you have to have something you want to say, right? Like, Coinbase, it was a moment. We are here, right? If Coinbase had already existed and they did the QR code, I don't know if it would have the same impact, but nobody really knew about them. So it was a great way to say, we are here. You don't have to launch a product necessarily, but you have to be wanting to say something. And then you have to have the creative to back it up. And that last piece is very subjective, right? The Coinbase thing objectively is ridiculous creative that in a vacuum, we'd say like, why? But in practicality and functionality, it works. So it's very hard to say what's the creative that's going to break through. That's the risk you run. I will say though that people have done some very interesting things. Friends over at Media Ocean, Aaron Goldman, shout out Aaron. He's the man. But this is a B2B play. He actually bought Super Bowl ads in local markets, in a couple of local markets, just so he could say we bought a Super Bowl ad. And his whole thing, which is funny, is like,
I'll get cheaper.
Yeah, they're cheaper, and because you're in a local market and it's a constrained market, it's not going to cost you $7 million.
It's more targeted.
It's targeted. It's going to be significantly cheaper. The way airtime works is there's national ad space, there's local ad space. The national ad space, you're going to get to the Cokes and whatever. Everyone's going to see it. The local, only in your demographic, on your DMA is going to, not demographic, sorry. DMA is going to see it. So anyway, that's what you buy. It's cheaper. So he did that, and the funny part was his creative matched up, which is this, and their B2B company, Media Ocean, they do ad tech, but their point was this ad could have been an email because it was literally like a bunch of people on a Zoom call talking about the ad. Like it was a really great concept. I love Aaron. I think it's a shout out to you, brother. It was a great concept. But the better part, and he explained this to me, he was like, yeah, we're doing it so I can put out a press release that said we bought a Super Bowl spot because we're going to actually get more value saying that. And then we can, back to Gary Vee's point, we can be on the best Super Bowl ad listicles, lists, all this stuff. So we started to get more earned value.
Makes sense.
And so I thought that was really smart.
That is the strategic application of that format.
Exactly. And then some other brands I work with, like if they have a Canadian presence, they're like, oh, we do Super Bowl ads in Canada. Because again, it's cheaper. It's way cheaper. Right. And you get the eyeballs because they want to watch it. Way cheaper. So there's some ways around it. But again, you got to get the buy-in. You got to have something to say. And you got to have creative to back it up. And that last one's the hardest because you don't know what's going to hit. You just don't. That's why a lot of brands shy away from it because it is a big risk.
Oh, Jinx. should we do the Art of Commerce Super Bowl ad, but on CTV, just spend $50 on it?
Local, baby. Local. We'll just be all the local stuff. Hey, just so we can, the Dallas Fort Worth will get the, they'll get the Art of Commerce. Hey, but if you would like to see a Super Bowl ad, you can help fund us. We can do a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Or just subscribe. If you're still listening to us right now, at this moment, hit subscribe if you haven't.
Hit subscribe. Like this. If this resonates and you think this is a fun episode around the Super Bowl, and you're football fans like us, send it to your favorite marketer, send it to your favorite football fan. Tell us also what ads you like from this year's Super Bowl. We're obviously recording it before, so we're interested to see what comes out. And
Jinx, I got $5 on. We're recording this in January 2026, 1 month before the Super Bowl. $5 on. We will see the first AI generated TV commercial for Super Bowl this year.
I'm there. I'm there. I don't want to bet against you because I agree with you, but I'll take the opposite bet because I have to. We don't have anybody else, but no, I think we will. I think we're gonna see it.
I'm hoping we see. We saw Calci last year for the NBA Finals.
I think I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, once Progressive is using it already, like we talked about in another episode, like. Well, we're gonna see now how hard it goes. Does it go Kalshi hard,
right?
Or does it
get banged for being like McDonald's?
We'll see. Well, it's to be seen, but we know this. We're gonna talk about it on a subsequent episode of The Art of Commerce. So again, subscribe, have fun watching the Super Bowl. Tell us what your favorite ads are, and we'll see you next week, next Tuesday, same time, same place.
See ya.
This is The Art of Commerce, featuring conversations on creativity and conversions. If you found value in today's episode, follow the show, leave a review, and stay tuned for more insights for the minds reshaping modern marketing.